Hey boardies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. How to set up, play and review for the game Cluedo Conspiracy. So this is a particular game which is a social deduction game. It's for 4 to 10 players. It's published by Hasbro and it's known as either Cluedo Conspiracy or Clue Conspiracy. Now Cluedo, as you may have seen from my prior video, is the English name because I used the Latin word Lodo as in Cluedo. That's how they got that name came together. So I haven't zoomed out any more than this. This is a paradisical island and we have had Mr. Coral, who is basically managing a resort, and there has been a death. Basically he is kind of like the manager, but somebody else who's kind of owning of this villa is dead. This is the Black Adder Resort, which I mentioned in the prior video. Bodie Black is the person who's died at Tudor Mansion. So what we're going to try and do is figure out who has been the murderer. Also, there will be some accomplices. We're also going to have scouts. We're going to have bodyguards as well. And you might recognize some of these characters where you're going to have your secret identity placed in here. So you might recognize Peacock, Plum, etc. You're going to see Colonel Mustard in Miss Scarlet. You might recognize some of these names. And what's quite fun about all these names is the fact that they all say something like a sparkling socialite on the surface, a sharply intelligent investigative journalist in secret, writing under the pen name Cyan, no one is safe as long as their real identity remains hidden. So basically everyone has got very nice, I guess, a positive something to say about them, and that ends with a negative thing. So for example, with this guy, the negative thing is his finest forgery, the PhD hanging on his office wall. So quite fun. So what we're going to be doing is I'll set up initially as a 4-player game, which is actually a bit different to how they would normally do so. But let me tell you about what this game is all about. So like I said, we're going to be working in teams. We are going to be dialing in on seeing what everyone does, and based on their behaviour, based on the places they're going and what they say, we are going to make a decision at the end as to whether or not someone is basically friend or foe. So you're going to have in a 4-player game, there'll be 2 friends, and you'll have an accomplice who will know who the ringleader is, and we're trying to find the ringleader if you're on the friend team. So you're going to shuffle these up and place them in an envelope each. So then we're going to do that, and that's go off to the side. We're going to have Mr. Coral, who is the guy we're trying to protect from being dead, being killed off, and he's going to be appearing somewhere. We're also going to have our own pawns. So let's just say we've got Plum, and obviously we've got to have Colonel Mustard, I guess, and Scarlet. And let's bring out White. Okay, so we've got these people in play. So what we're going to deal with is we're going to have various locations that we've got to figure out, okay, which one's either safe. So this is going to be where the murder is going to occur. So that's the plot. And then this location is going to be safe. So we're always going to have a safe location. Now, just because it's off to the side, that's got nothing to do with this location. We can still investigate these locations. Every other place is going to be shuffled up with some other cards too. So these are going to be placed out as well. And let's crack on from here. Right, sorry for that delay. That was Jehovah's Witnesses at the door, who would unfortunately be very interesting to be playing with in this game, but they took some time to deal with some stuff. So you might have some locations which might say no clue found, but basically all these locations are going to go out. These are simply locations, and we're also going to have some other things coming out too. These are going to be about weapons. So right now what we're dealing with is we've got various other weapons that we could be dealing with. Basically we need to figure out who is the murderer or who is the ringleader behind this murder. And we've also got these various weapons as well. These are going to be randomly placed out too. And these are things we're also trying to deal with as well. But before we do that, we're also going to have a weapon placed into the center. And it's something whereby we're trying to figure out obviously who has been the killer or the potential killer. So everything will be played out like this. And lastly, you're going to have traps. So if you're playing 4 to 7 players or 8+, you are going to be placing out a trap. So let's just say we do it on the 4 to 7 mode. And you might notice there is what's called a suit, basically a different symbol. It might be a red circle, it might be a green triangle, etc. And what we're trying to do with this is trying to disable these traps. So imagine these places are being placed out. You're then also going to be dealing out 3 of these cards at random. They're going to be shuffled up. And let's just say I've started off with this in my hands. This is a wild, but it's obviously not as powerful because it's only worth 1, not 2. But of course, it is more variable. So I've got 5 going on here. Now, that's not going to be enough to maybe disable this trap here. But I might want to assemble a team. So the last person who flew is basically going to be the start player. And they can assemble a team to say, hey, let's go over and try and disable this trap. And everybody's going to chuck in at least 1 card who is on your team. But deciding whether or not you think a team is viable, we need to do a vote. And a vote is very important because we need to find out basically whether or not we think that's a good enough team to disable that trap. We also have various other things. We have his health, so we have a health tracker. We also have a storm tracker. If we are not successful in voting, then this is going to move down until eventually he'll take some danger, and then more and more, and eventually he could die. So we do have some discard pile cards as well, so cards that would be placed over there too. We're going to have various locations that could come into the game as we discover them. But once we have then gone to a location, we also need to decide various other stuff too. So we have these scout and body cards. So basically the scout is choosing a team. We can move this off to one side now. And any errata, any updates, do let me know in the comments best on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And of course, please do share. You will find, this will be found elsewhere, but if you do it on YouTube, everyone else can find it from that location. So you're gonna choose a team, you're gonna vote, and you're gonna then pass those pawns across. And if it fails, then you're basically moving that scout along to the next position. It always moves the person to the left. And if I'm speaking too fast, please always just slow it down as well. So, like I said, we need to be disarming these traps. We also need to keep an eye on this. Everybody's then going to shuffle up any cards that have been put in to try and see if we can discard it. Shuffle them up, start revealing them, and anything that does not match this symbol, apart from the wild. So if you have this symbol come up on this location, then what's going to happen if it doesn't make six, then we're going to fail, and that's going to be bad. It's going to harm, obviously, Mr. Coral. But someone else is also going to be playing, and they're going to be taking the bodyguard card. It can't be the scout who takes this card, especially in a 4-player game in particular. And what you can do is move that location. And if you're the ringleader, you're checking to see if the location you're moving to is the one placed in the identity envelope, which is always interesting because this is part of your way of helping to win if you happen to be on the bad team. So if you are the ringleader, then you are activating the plot, and you and your accomplices basically won the game. So if you go into that location, so you've been brought in, again, you are not deciding this, the scout is deciding it, but you can say whatever you want, as with everybody else, to decide where you want to go, but the scout ultimately has the decision as to where we go. And what you're trying to do is then move to that location and see if you are able to firstly handle the trap, and then what the bodyguard's going to be doing is going to be deciding about what's in here. So they're going to be having a look at the clues. So let's say the bodyguard has arrived here. You are, if you are a friend, you are revealing the truth, and you're going to reveal the truth about one of the 2 things that you have seen there. Now, the 2 things that you see there, let's say it happens to be a hammer and a botanical garden. You can say, I've seen a hammer, and you don't show anybody, but you say, yeah, I saw a hammer. Whereas if you are on the bad team, you can choose to lie and say, oh, it was the, there's nothing there clue. So like one of these kind of cards could be present. So that is something you need to be aware of. You can pick up these kind of cards. So what you can do is keep it a secret. So you're ready to use it. So you're going to take the card that you looked at, keep it to your side, and at some point you can choose to play an instant disarm. So that's basically how the game's going to go. And what's going to happen is, in the prior game, we found out that eventually we went to a vote. Now, if you want to speed it up, you can do a 2-minute vote. We chose to do the full 5 minutes. And we used a Google Nest, so we couldn't actually see the timer running down. But as soon as 5 minutes was about to hit, we said 1, 2, 3, and at that point the timer went off. So it was perfect timing. And what you're going to do eventually is remove everything from here, and you'll flip the board over, and then you're signing, yes, I think we found fishing net, yes, I think we found whatever. And what's going to happen is you're then going to discover if you can then eliminate or figure out who has been a bit dodgy. So in the last game, I asked somebody to tell me what they saw, and they said they saw no clue found, which was a bit suspicious, but it turned out they're a friend of all things. So we eliminated one person here, which turned out to be incorrect. We're down to 2 locations, and it turned out that one of the ringleader was actually lying about one thing they'd seen. So we got it down to 2 things. Equally, the accomplices also lied about one of the things they'd seen as well. So it was a very good experience. It was a very good game. There's no roll and move like you find in the original Cluedo. Similar duration in some respects. A very enjoyable party game. I do highly recommend this one. I definitely give it a very good rating, or a 7 out of 10. So this is a beyond average for me. The fact it has to be played as a minimum as a 4, and the rules are slightly different as a 4, is a slight annoyance, I guess, to a degree. I thought it was very good as a 4. I think some people think it's better with more, but I did very much enjoy it. And like I said, I do highly recommend you check this one out. A bit of rules checks, etc. That's to be expected in your first game, whatever. But no, very much recommend you want to look into this one. This is Cluedo Conspiracy, or Clue Conspiracy. I know in Germany it's sold very well. Thanks very much for watching. For now, back to the table.